Thank you all for your respect given to the sacrifices on that wall. Great job. We're now going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance to this flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah!
I gotta go grab a bottle of water. My mouth is all cotton. Good morning. My name is Kevin Conzo, and I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm the founder of this little group and request all group members present to go live on the social media platform of their choice. There's a message that needs to be heard, and it's very important. This small voice will be the last one that you hear today. It's not mine. Like many of you, I have watched the recent events in the news. I'm appalled by the action of a few. I mourn with all those that have lost, both from personal experience and common empathy. I urge you to listen to what we have to say. I represent a small grassroots organization in this state, Good Guys with Guns. We've reached out officially to our Governor, Kate Brown, to hear her views on what we have to say. Our invite has been declined. Both letters are available to the public if you are a member of our group. If you're not and want to read them, I'm going to put them on the table. The message is simple. Good guys with guns stop the bad ones. We collectively believe that the right to protect self, family, community, and loved ones is dependent on good individuals, both solo and collectively. We also believe the protection of our Constitution and country is dependent on good people today, just as much as it was at the founding. Our firemen, our police, our soldiers, and our elected officials work for us to ensure this. These government positions are put in place to serve many purposes, but most of all, they protect us from harm, so we can enjoy life, grow, live, laugh, and love. Our freedom to do that does not end there. We also have individual responsibility as well. Our country has seen havoc and mayhem. Our country has seen violence in different ways. Some people just like to hurt others. With knives, fertilizer, mail bombs, letters with chemicals, and yes, guns. We join those of you who have marched and cried out for answers and solutions. We all want the same thing. No one to die at the hands of a bad person. We believe more laws will not deter bad people. They are willing to commit acts that are already considered crimes. They will find a way to termination and carry out those horrible acts. These criminals need to be punished through our criminal justice system. These acts of violence are committed by individuals who have chosen to be bad people. They are at a point in which whatever community help has failed them. They've slipped through our efforts, and I tell you, many work hard to see that this does not happen. Various good programs, the programs we push more of, counseling, community programs, peer mentoring, anti-bullying, family togetherness, religious mentoring, spiritual mentoring, and exercising our First Amendment. Yes, protests. I myself apologize for any negativity I have showed the opposition. I feel I have failed them. I stand here asking the millions of teenage activists for their apologies on a personal level. These young, energetic youth are our future. We can disagree with their viewpoint. However, at GGWG, we will not tolerate bullying of any kind. After all their cohesive push, their stand for what they believe in is giving them a common purpose to be inclusive. This is what the country needs. This is what Oregon needs. Oregon. Thank you. GGWG disagrees with their assessment of the issues. We feel a person's individual liberty guaranteed them under the Second Amendment is the right to protect oneself. If they so choose to do that with kung fu or a firearm, that is their personal choice, not the government's. I urge you, do not take the tools of defense away from the millions of good guys by continually restricting or eliminating the sales of any tools of defense. They are constantly being used by criminals on an offensive level. When there is a threat to our safety, these are the very tools good people need and whom you will wish had the means to protect you. I have spoken with and had the experience with many individuals who have been in life and death situations. Many of the wishes and prayers at these moments is not more regulations, more laws. It's either I wish I was armed or I wish someone was armed to protect us. How many more will have to die until those wishes are granted? How many more voices are calling out from beyond the grave, saying, if only someone had a gun? Yes, that gun Rambo will stand up and protect you. Bad people exist, we have seen it. We have lived it, and many have died from it. We are all worried it will happen to us next. I urge you to hear those victims beyond the grave. I hear them. They're not asking, why did this bad person get a gun through a loophole of laws, create more laws. They're not asking, why was the gun locker unlocked to give access to this person. They're not saying that the company that sold the gun in Bill's gun shops, who sold it to Henry, who sold it to Mary, who had it stolen in 1994, was in a safe that was picked and sold on the street for drugs and landed in the hands of a bad guy who accidentally shot me during some kind of initiation. They aren't crying that out. They're crying out, I wish I had prepared to defend myself. I wish I had a gun. Instead, we have made the process and continue to make the process extremely hindering to people who continue to fall victim to violent individuals with guns. Whatever your political sway, right, left, middle, stand. You are safe with us. I am an American first. I lean right on many issues, but left on others. I'm most likely, just like many of you, be a good individual with whatever tool you determine is good for you. The pen or the sword, there is a battle, friends, and we need both. The only ones who obey the law are good guys. Creating more laws with more restrictions is hindering our natural rights as human beings. If the sword is gone, I guarantee you that pen is next. I will conclude our unified message from GGWG as a spokesperson. This was voted on by our leadership body. And it's our purpose. It's our one common purpose that we came to the table and said this is what we want to say. Our common purpose is to protect the Second Amendment as written to the United States Constitution. We believe the Second Amendment to this founding document ensures our natural born rights and the entire founding principles of the United States. Join with us. Now, I didn't want to be me reading this, but I've had trouble getting somebody else to read it. It's a voted on statement, if you will. If anybody wants to volunteer and come read this off the paper, raise your hand. All right, good, I'll read it. Sure. Are you a member? I am not. Okay, perfect. Starting here.
I am speaking directly to the opponents of the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution on behalf of GGWG. Recently, during the March for Our Lives protests, you allowed a mistake to be made. This often happens when you allow others to push your agenda. This crumbled the house of cards for that agenda. The statement we are referring to was made by an individual whom you gave the microphone. Although the individual is not to blame, the words are, "They will give us an inch, we will take a mile." When your agenda truly has been confirmed, your agenda is the disarmament of the citizens of the United States. Many proponents have been voicing a concern. If we give them an inch, they will take a mile. Thank you for validating that concern. Now we know what must be done. GGWG was formed. Advocates of the second afforded the opposition certain restrictions to it. In good faith, the above would not occur. Shame on us. We believe the Second Amendment is a natural-born right defining self-protection by arms, fists, or tools of personal choice. We believe every free American has the right to that protection, no restrictions. Bold agenda? We think not. We fault you for not being clear with your motives. We will protect ourselves from those bad individuals who wish to do us harm. We are the good guys with guns. Now, current membership and attendance. That's it? All right. Good job.
In favor of me just kind of talking about some things, say yay or raise your hand. Yay. All those opposed, say nay. Well, it looks like yays win. Thank you. Now I gotta back that up. Rant. A lot of the questions I keep getting asked are like, who is this guy that talks funny? Because nobody can understand what I say on the West Coast. My name is, well, you know my name. I'm from Boston. My name is Kevin. I speak kind of with a mumble sometimes. I can be very brash. I moved to the West Coast in 2010. My background is in law enforcement. That's who I am. What I was doing is I was writing a book, and I love to write. So I have like 70,000 words of a novel. But this stuff woke me up, and I wanted to find a place where I could go. So I sought that out. I found some announcement, and I was asking questions, and I couldn't get answers. It was, well, whatever. Anyways, I found some good people. We created GGWG. And we set some founding principles, and we organized this little shindig on the Capitol. One of the first things I did was fill out a permit application. That was approved. Sent that in. Second thing I did was write a letter to the governor. Why not? I'm an Oregonian. I didn't know who to reach out to be honest. I haven't been following a lot of the politics around here because I'm from Boston. I've only been here 9 months in Oregon. That being said, I had to use my background to create structure with this group. I knew there was a group conscience out there that I shared. And like many of you, we're kind of put in a box that we're afraid that to come to something like this because we'll go to work and our boss might pull us in and say, hey, I saw you picking your nose at a rally. Sorry, you have to step down from whatever you're doing. Or people might just have their own personal security concerns. That's what it is, okay? No problem. So GGWG is a way to join up, talk to your state leader, because there should be 6 of them, but the boat's been rocking a little bit, bear with me. Talk to the state leader. We're going to divide up Oregon, and you're going to say, hey, this is what I think. And the state leader is going to come to us and say, hey, I got a guy that thinks this. And we're going to put it in little blurbs like that I can officially read, because it's not about Kevin's soapbox.
How long have you been here, Kevin?
I've been on the West Coast since 2010. I lived in Washington for a majority of that time, and I moved to Oregon because it's one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen.
Welcome aboard.
Oregon, I know, I'm gonna get in trouble, big time.
Thank God you're not in Massachusetts anymore, right?
I know, we have stuff going on all throughout the country. Now that I can kind of rant in it a little bit. We have city council meetings saying, hey, it's a $900 fine if you keep your AR-15 rifle and setting law on street level. So, it's all ridiculous. I've been watching it from the tube just like everybody else. It's all ridiculous. So, we gotta come together and start standing behind a constitution, because this state is, they're having some 3 people go to a supermarket and stand outside, and people are just like, oh yeah, they don't want to be rude, so they put their signature down. And next thing you know, we get a 1,000 signature ballot thing going on. That's what's happening, folks. So, we got a little list over there too. And educate yourselves. I don't know, I have all the answers. Educate yourselves. Find the facts, and then put your name on our list. So I don't imagine that we're going to be standing outside a supermarket, because I believe we're the majority consensus of Oregon. Did I pronounce that right? Sure. So, that's where I'm at. I think that's kind of a good rant for now.
What is GGWG?
Good guys with guns.
How do you join?
There's a form, thank you. There's a form over there to put some information on. Totally voluntary. You can put your name. Here's what we need to know. If Mr. Zuckerberg gets, because he's on the hot seat right now and says, you know what, Kevin picked his nose in his group, we're shutting it down, then we want a backup plan of information to contact people. That's basically the reason for that. Also, we want to try to categorize people by their state leader. So if you want to put your name, I live in town, great, and you got my strong, like I'm trying to guard that box right now, like it's the Ark of the Covenant. And this list, this form, was online because I wanted some information, because you know what, guys? My name is on this permit application, and I don't want to be responsible for everybody around. Now, that said, that concern's been addressed, like I am not, but I didn't know that. I'm an everyday guy. So, that's why we haven't been promoting the form as much. And I think that's probably the last thing that I will take a question on. I get some great people that want to speak. I got the list somewhere. Ah. Okay. Now, I gotta pull out my phone here because I wasn't able to print it, but this is a very important message. I wasn't able to line up. Well, I'll explain after I read it. Okay, here we go. This comes from a young man who's currently in school, and he says the following. He's not going to come up here and read this thing. I am. We had that walkout in March, and us students who didn't walk out were told not to talk or our opinions would just work. So me and my friends, including Diego, Dylan, and Marcus, wanted to start a national walkout day for our rights, because teachers say that they had a freedom of speech and that they were allowed to preach whatever they want. But I have taken the chance of failing or not and emailing Fox News. Hopefully we can make a change and make America how it should be. If I fall through with this plan, we will walk out of my class on May 4th at 1:22. I have chosen this time because 1 represents our first constitutional right of freedom of speech, and I chose 22 for our Second Amendment right, the right to bear arms. Please show your kids and share with your friends. We are only allowing 6th grade and up because we know a little bit more about our country than they do. # Second Amendment. If you would like to help support me, and if you would post a comment, # 1 Stand Amendment. Stamendment. Now, our children are going up to, I'm going to talk about this gentleman that I just read his statement. Our children are going up to their principals and asking, hey, can we do this? And the principal, for whatever reason, is saying, listen, we don't want to start a civil war here. Listen, no, like, let's not do it. But we have one kid that goes up and says, hey, I want to do a march in against guns, and the whole school community opens the door for the kids. And I don't know about all of you, but I've been in elementary school, I've been in high school, and as soon as that door's open, I'm going to go out and get some fresh air. So I'm not taking sides on a political agenda, but that is wrong. And I'm pointing it out right now. If we have children that want to stand up and do some kind of thing for whatever, because I feel that the education system should be teaching the amendments to the Constitution, not the political agenda behind it.
Right on.
So that's where I stand on that. That's the most important voice that after I decided to find, not the most important, I don't want anybody getting upset. When I wanted to found this group, that was exactly what I was saying to myself. I want to stand up. How do I do it? And that boy's trying to do it too. So yeah, let's give him all a round of applause. I've had a million other people been calling me, and I've been trying to look for his parent, and I'll make contact with that mother and make sure that we can support her son's effort in any way possible. Hopefully, I just did too, but we're up to the plate. Now, back to my list here. Okay, first speaker is T.J. Oakley. He's going to speak for 3 to 5 minutes, tell you what his opinion is on Josh.
Thank you for the opportunity. Let's give this man a round of applause. Thank you. I don't know about you all, but I'm feeling pretty safe today. All right. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. Good morning. My name is Kevin McIntosh. I'm a proud Army vet who served as a military police officer. I am also a retired public school teacher and administrator with over 20 years of service. I am also a proud gun owner, Harley rider, NRA member, and avid upland bird hunter.
Right on. Woo!
As a U.S. history teacher, I took great pride in teaching my students the history of our wonderful country, with the focus being on the creation of the Constitution by our enlightened founders, including the Bill of Rights, and most importantly, and this is what I emphasized, why they are important. I taught my students that our rights are precious, all of them, and worth fighting and dying for if need be, as many of our heroes have done throughout our history, both men and women, black and white. This is why I'm here today with my fellow patriots, fighting for one of our most precious rights, the right to keep and bear arms. It is no accident that our founders placed this right second. They knew its value and importance to all Americans. They knew this right must be afforded to citizens in order so that we have the ability to protect our families and our property, as well as to protect ourselves from tyranny by a government who may decide at a certain point in time to take away our rights. I believe that time has come. All of us as Americans should be concerned about this, not simply those who choose, as is their right, to arm themselves. An attack on one right is an attack on all of our rights. This is just the beginning. In essence, there is a larger principle at stake here that goes way beyond just our Second Amendment right. I also taught my students that with our rights comes great responsibility, and Kevin talked about that. They go hand in hand. Unfortunately, there are those who do not live up to that responsibility and choose to abuse their rights, up to and including doing serious harm to others, as is so terribly evident with school shootings and other mass shootings in recent times. As a way to curtail those who may do us harm, laws are created which we are expected to follow. As we all know, that is not always the case. So more laws are passed in the hope that they'll be obeyed. With regard to guns, there are already thousands of laws and regulations on the books throughout our country, many of those, of course, right here in our great state, some of which I agree with and feel are necessary. However, a major problem with creating more laws, as well as the laws we already have, is enforcement. As we all know, laws only work if they are effectively enforced and lawbreakers effectively punished. In short, we do not need more laws that continue to chip away at our Second Amendment right. What we do need is effective enforcement of laws that already exist. Don't be naive. Don't be naive. More laws, up to and including the banning of certain types of guns and their accessories, are purely designed to tear apart our right, despite what gun control proponents say to the contrary. Initiative Petition 43 is a perfect example of this. I will not be going into the detailed specifics of IP 43. That is not because I'm not informed, but because I urge you as a citizen and resident of Oregon to inform yourself and your neighbors and your co-workers. That is your duty as a conscientious voter. But I will tell you this. The initiative is an attack on law-abiding gun owners who have a right to decide what is best for the protection of themselves, their families, and their property. Further, and according to the Institute of Legislative Action, promoting the banning of firearms and their accessories based solely on randomly determined features or ammunition capacities is nothing more than appealing to the emotional response of those who simply do not like firearms, do not understand them, and would like to ban all firearms, and that's no joke. Additionally, it goes back to what I mentioned earlier with regard to gun control proponents having as their ultimate goal the confiscation of our guns. Columnist Charles Kratheimer wrote, you've probably seen him in the news every now and then, he's pretty famous. Passing a law, this is what he says, passing a law like the assault weapons ban is a purely symbolic move in that direction. Its only real justification is not to reduce crime, but to desensitize the public to the regulation of weapons in preparation for their ultimate confiscation. I believe this is the ultimate goal of IP 43. Finally, Thomas Paine, an American revolutionary patriot and philosopher, famous for his "Give me liberty or give me death," also stated, "Arms, like laws, discourage and keep the invader and plunderer in awe and preserve order." I strongly urge you to look at the facts for yourself. Don't let those in the mainstream media make up your mind for you. After all, to make policy, you must know what is true. Once you do, I believe you'll discover IP 43 is unacceptable and a serious violation of our God-given Second Amendment right. Thank you, and God bless America.
If they're in attendance, it's David Samuel Hill. David Samuel Hill, please stand up. Raja. All right. He won't be here till noon. We got a Mr. Ted Johnson on the roster. Ted Johnson, you're the lucky winner for the next speaker. Ted Johnson.
Ted Johnson!
Sounds good.
Hello. It's really great to see a lot of people here. This is the most important rally that I have ever been to. It's the first rally that I've ever been to. It's the most important rally that any American could ever go to. This right to bear arms that shall not be infringed, it protects all of the other rights. And it's also something that wasn't necessarily given to us by God. It is something that is a natural right. If you want to go the atheist route with it, if you want to do that, whatever. But it's not a piece of paper that gives us this right. It's not a bunch of guys that signed a Constitution or the Declaration of Independence that made this as a nation. This is us. This is our people. We made this nation. We want to keep it the same way that it is. We don't want our rights to be destroyed any more than they already have been over the years. All these people that are talking about how there's this rampant gun violence and it's because of gun owners, they don't have their facts right. Criminals don't care about laws. Adding more laws on guns does not stop gun violence. They like to just say that all of us are evil people, really. They say they will pry them from our dead hands. They've said this on national television. Notice how... You know, notice how there's no CNN here. There's no Fox News. We've got Vice News here. I don't know if anyone knows who Vice News is, but it's a smaller company that does a really good job of getting the news out to people. But yeah, there's no CNN here. There's no $1 million bankers giving us tons of money to come out here and do this. Why? Because we care about our rights. Those people were voting, they were trying to get their rights taken away from them. They were literally, they were marching to do that. Not just them, but my niece and nephew, my sisters, my mother, my father, my stepfather, all of you. You guys, I see a lot of veterans here, and I thank you guys for your service. And where are we right now? Let's give you guys a hand. Yeah. Now, you guys didn't do what you did to have a bunch of people just say that you guys can't uphold the Constitution like you took an oath to uphold. These people don't care about people who care about America. They don't. They like to say that they do. They like to say that they care about all the children and all that. They don't. They care about these people that are here right now, and they want to change their life entirely by taking away their right to protect themselves with whatever means necessary. Like Kevin mentioned in the beginning, kung fu, doesn't matter what. They will go down the list. This assault weapons ban is the first little nick, and they said themselves, give us an inch, we'll take a mile. Go ahead, man. You can't take a mile from that. We're not even going to give them an inch. I want them to put them on the ballot. I want them to be on this ballot. We will vote it out. Are you serious? It will lose. No, we can't give them an inch because, yes, they will take a mile. These are the people that really believe that the cops are out there killing people just willy-nilly, just doing it for no reason. But they want to make it to where only the cops have guns. Where's the logic in that? There is no logic in that. It's because these people aren't thinking logically, they're thinking emotionally. I'm thinking emotionally right now because I see all these people out here, and I had no idea there would be that many people, and it's amazing that you guys are all here. It's awesome. This is great. Now I want you guys to know that this is not the last time that this is going to be able to happen. This is not the last chance that we have. But one day, if we don't make a change, if we don't take a stand, there will be a last chance. There will be. And we can't let that happen. Everyone else who's spoken already said pretty much everything that I wanted to say, and
Say it again! Go for it!
Repeat.
now, look, I'm a young man. I'm only 28 years old. I have, like I've said before, I have a niece and nephew. Unfortunately, they live in California, and I have a brother, I have sisters, I have lots of family that aren't old enough yet to do this, but, you know, we have people who can't own guns anymore in certain states and certain counties and certain cities because they're a certain age that just as of last year, they were totally able to own this gun. But you can send a guy over or a girl over and they can carry a rifle in a different country, but they can't own one here. It doesn't make sense. That is not protecting children because, as you can see from one of these signs behind me here, do not let them infringe upon your right to protect your children. You know how many single mothers there are that are armed that save their children? My sister is a single mother, man. My niece and nephew grew up with her, and she is an amazing woman. She is armed. And they have never had anything bad happen to them. And they live in not a very good area. But I'm sorry. I'm so nervous. You know what? I am nervous to speak right now because I kind of have a problem with speaking in public, but I am not afraid for my life at all. And there are tons of gun supporters here. There's tons of guns here. There's a kid over here with a 22 on his back. Give this kid a hand, man. Right on, dude. Thank you so much, man. Anyway, and this is probably the safest place in Salem right now. This is probably the safest place in Oregon right now. We can't turn into Illinois. They have a city that is the size of my town of Scappoose, who has made it to where it is illegal for people to own semi-automatic weapons. That's 95% of the guns. They're going to charge them per day up to $1,000. Lowest, $250. That's crap. That's not right. Anyway, I'm probably taking up too much of the time right now. We can't let that happen, guys. Get out there and vote. Make your voices heard. And spread the word in any way you can. Just like how I'm doing right now. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
Time constraint. I am allowing Liza Sanderson to take the mic. He's going to go to work.
Hey guys, thanks for showing up. I really appreciate it. So I'm just a normal citizen like you guys are, and I went to the March for Our Lives rally up in Portland, Oregon, and there were 4,000 people gunning to take our rights away, and they had signs to do that, just that. And I look around, I see a lot of patriots, but I don't see enough children. I don't see enough action from our community. I really don't. We're going to lose this battle, you guys. We are. They lost it in California, and we're going to lose it right here in Oregon. And I want you all to be fearful today. Fearful that we're going to lose it here in Oregon, because we're gonna. If this is our turnout, we're done. We're not going to make it. After seeing what they had up there, they're the county that's going to take this. So it is our responsibility as the citizens, and it is our responsibility to those people that died on that wall behind us, that gave everything for our rights, that the idea of freedom. It is our responsibility to take more action here. It is our responsibility to get on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you're old and you don't know how to do that, figure it out. Get on there, make some pamphlets. I'm not kidding. I see a lot of old people here that aren't on Facebook, aren't on Instagram, aren't on Twitter, and they talk about protecting our rights, but you guys aren't doing enough. We are not doing enough to protect our rights right now. We need to get active right this second. You guys need to get on it. We need to make pamphlets. We need to educate the children. That is the key to this. The key is to educate the children on gun facts and the reality that gun control doesn't work. I've talked to many different kids up in Portland, Oregon. And when you sit them down and you actually present them with facts, they are open and completely open to the idea that it doesn't work. All right? We should be advocating for school security, not gun control. We all know that. I'm not patting anybody on the back here today, because every one of your grandkids should be here. Every one of your kids should be here. We should have a whole presence of children protesting against the BS the BS. We need to have it going on right now. And we need to be more active, you guys. I'm serious. Get on Facebook. Get on Twitter. Make up gun fact sheets. Give them out to everybody you know. Show up. Get more people to show up, because we are losing, and we will lose. We will lose this battle. And our rights will be taken away from us, and they will turn us into criminals. It scared me to death what I saw up in Portland. It scared me to death, because what I saw was a civil war. That's what I saw. I saw 4,000 people gunning to take our rights away. And when they do that, and when they get to a certain period of time, people like this are going to be fed up, and then people are going to start dying. And that's really what's going to happen. And it is absolutely the worst case scenario in this world, that our rights be taken away to the point to where red-blooded Americans say, hey, we're not going to put up with this anymore, and then people start getting killed. That's what we want to avoid. And in order for that to happen, you people need to get more active and do more for this right, because it is no joke. This is in my opinion, it's the future of the world. Because if we have a civil war here in America, which is where this is going eventually, if we do, the world economy collapses and millions of people are gonna die. And all of those people on that wall back there, they died for nothing. So do more, please. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, okay, fine. Don't tie me down. And don't tie my rights down. You see before you a veteran. I was in the Army. I went in 1982. And in regards to our First and Second Amendment rights, the first two things I had to learn were I will guard everything within the limits of my post and quit my post only when properly relieved. The next thing I used to say, as we got out to in the early 80s with supporters, is I may totally disagree with what you have to say, but I will defend with my life your ability to say it. I am not here today to lecture people. And I am not here today to prevent statistics and quotes. I would actually just like to share some thoughts. Our legislation, our government is defining the current situation because of this. This is a $1.49 piece of plastic. A pistol grip did not cause this problem. This is my sign over here. It says a pistol grip does not create an assault rifle. The question realistically to everyone who's not here, you're all my friends. I'm not nervous. This is not public speaking. Everyone's on my side. What I want to know is, how can we have a dialogue with those on the others? Let's look at things. This didn't cause the problem. We had a young man in Florida who created an issue that went into the national media. And the question, hang on, let me make my assault microphone now. It has a pistol grip. We had a young man in Florida who has created an incredible flow of energy, and he's created an incredible flow of energy and a national conscience regarding an issue. Okay, the pistol grip didn't cause the problem. He's a young man. Where were the child and adolescent outreach? Where was mental health? Where was the social work system?
Where was the FBI?
Where was the FBI? Where was the police department? And everyone addresses the failures of these. Okay, we can do that. But the part you're missing is, how many times did it work? How many times did it prevent a problem? So rather than saying the problem is the Broward County Sheriff, the problem is the FBI, the problem is mental health, the problem is the school system, the problem is the parents who aren't there. My wife's famous for saying, there's never been a mass shooting in a parochial school. That's because everyone fears the nuns with their lives. What happened here has nothing to do with this. It's a change in our philosophy. It is a change in the way that America expects people to act and not react. If I acted up, my grandmother would grab me by the ears and give me what for. And if she didn't, someone else in the church would. Where is that these days? Back to the point at hand. We have programs. Sure, they work sometimes, they work other times. The question is, get both sides of this together and say, how do we make it better? This isn't the problem. The sheriff doesn't talk to the FBI, which doesn't talk to the school counselors, which doesn't talk to the social workers who's been to this kid how many times. The problem is not this. The problem is we're divided. Who knows what this is? It's a penny. It's got two sides. It's got heads and it's got tails. Neither side's right, neither side's wrong. And the only reason a penny is worth anything is it is a symbol. It is a representation of something. Who's on a penny? Abraham Lincoln. Are we again a country divided over something? I believe so. How do you resolve conflict? How do you resolve a difference of opinion? It's not me yelling and screaming at them. It's not them yelling and screaming at me. It's not people sitting behind a desk in a newsroom where it's warm and it's not raining and it's not cold. It is people like us in a t-shirt. I was in the military from 82 to 2001. I've been cold, wet, and miserable before. The place we need to gather people's attention is not in front of a TV camera and a studio with a script. It's with groups of people and groups of friends who are saying, this is not the problem, but what can we do to make the current policies, procedures, and interventions more effective? All of this energy and money that we are wasting, gotta control guns. What's next? You can't go to school with a sharp pencil? The problem realistically becomes there is a societal change. IP 43, second section says any semi-automatic weapon, pistol, shotgun, rifle, center fire or rim fire that holds more than 10 rounds is illegal. Look at the second half of it. That means my little Browning 22 that was designed in 1914 is now prohibitive because it fits that second category. It's rimfire, it holds 11 rounds, one in a chamber. Why is that weapon or firearm or 22 rifle from 1914 any more of a danger today than it was before the First World War? And the answer is society has changed. This is not the problem.
Because I'd run around all over the place. Next on the list is Marvin Cosby.
Speak real loud. Can everybody hear me? All right, thank you for coming. I'm a Lane County PCP. A PCP is a precinct committee person. I am the first rung of the politicians, so I can speak. But I'm also a pastor, and I love the Lord Jesus Christ. He is my Savior. Our founding fathers knew the Lord too, and they used to go to Him in prayer, and they would ask that they would help. The Lord would help them when they wrote the Constitution. And we are the greatest nation on earth. We have done the greatest good that this world's ever seen outside of our death of our Savior on the cross. So yes, I can get up and speak before you all. But what I want to warn you about is we are passive in Oregon. We are passive in this state. We don't turn out to vote. Do you realize we'd own that building over there if we would? You're going to get chastised for a moment here. There are opportunities in our state to take back seat after seat after seat, because sometimes only 64% of the Republicans turn out to vote, while 70-some% of the Democrats. It's the Democrats that impose these bills on you, so the Republicans aren't there to defend it. They're not there to defend your rights. Now, our constitutional rights are ours. They were given to us by our founders, but they got to be protected, and we need voice to protect it. So sometimes in little places like River Road and Junction City and Santa Clara, the Republican candidate loses by 1,300 or 1,800 votes, while 4,300 Republicans sat at home and failed to turn out to vote. Do you realize we're not a minority if we would vote? Would you please take that message home with you? and also find out how to become a PCP in your county. Join up, become a volunteer, get involved, get the message out. After me, there's some fellows that are going to come up and speak, and they're going to talk about the political system that we have and about their hopes to be reelected. And I want you to take a little bit of opportunity to get to meet them and shake their hand. We've mentioned over here in the tent that there is a deal that you can begin to sign up on so that we can connect up again. It's my hope that we can spring forth from this, that we can begin to network with all the fringe groups so that we can return back 4 or 5 times stronger in September when our legislators are in session. And we perhaps might even have, by that time, our own ballot measures for them. Wouldn't that be awesome if once again we begin to take our nation back? There was we can put God in America again. Have you heard that one? There was a fellow over here talking to me. I told him to stay nearby, and he was really shy about speaking. But he shared a message with me. It was about 240 some years ago, this coming Wednesday, that the British sent a message to the colonial states and said to them, we're coming to take care of your arms. If you turn your arms over to us, we're going to be able to take care of all of your needs. And they met a battle. So that's really pretty much all I have to say. I'm just really thankful that you've all turned out. And I want you to remember to vote, to get out to vote, and join up and be a PCP. Get a hold of your local party, Republican Party. You can find them on Facebook. I'm still an old Facebook guy. I don't Snapchat or do any of that kind of stuff. So also too, if there's anybody else out there and you want to have an opportunity to speak, as long as there's room for you, we're filling a list. And if you got something to say, please do so. Again, thank you.
Things over there. So yeah, there was a loud guy named Paul Revere who wrote a horse called Facebook with a message from all of you. And that was one of the founding ideas that this Boston guy had. Because it's about you, not me. Hopefully I'm not skipping anywhere, but Joey Nathans. Nations, thank you. Come on up.
Good. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much. Like he said, my name is Joey Nations. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a major gun supporter, and I'm running for Congress into the 5th Congressional District to take out Kurt Schrader. I want you to know that you are not alone in this fight. I want you to know that I will stand for your right to bear arms. You have to keep them, you got to bear them, and you got to not be scared to do it, okay? And so everybody here, if you're a veteran, thank you for your service. Okay? I think it's absolutely insane that we're even having a conversation about 18 to 21-year-olds not being able to own long guns when we send them out to die for our country. That is insane. We have to keep the right to... If you're 18 to 21, you ought to be able to buy firearms, okay? That's a big deal for me. And so one of the biggest issues I will take to Congress is a backbone and a principle that the Second Amendment shall not be infringed. And so if you live in the 5th Congressional District, and that's a big district, we got 7 counties in it, okay? If you're here, you're probably in that district. So you get out and you vote. May 15th is the primary, November 6th is a general. You don't forget that. And there's a couple things I want to share with you before I let the other speakers go here. If you look at this fight, the reason why I'm running, the reason why I'm doing this, I've got a strong background to do it. I won't go into the political side. I'm doing it because I have children. I'm doing it because we have to fight this fight right now, or your kids are going to be fighting it after you're gone. Do you want your kids to do it, or you want to do it? That's right. We're going to stand up. We're going to fight this battle now so that our kids, and thank you for all the young folks being here, we are going to fight this now. We're going to stand up. We're going to win. We're going to turn Oregon red in 2018. Y'all with me? Hey. Because I'll tell you what, I'm sick and tired of watching the far left progressives think they control this state, think they control our country, think they control the Constitution. Nobody controls the Constitution. That we have a God-given right to keep and bear arms. That is not even something that the forefathers had an argument about. They said that's a God-given right. We're going to enumerate it just to make sure that it is passed down through history. You have a God-given right. You are a divine individual. You can protect yourself. That's your right. The Constitution backs it up, okay? So the First Amendment, backed up by the Second Amendment, and every other amendment after that, the Second Amendment is crucial to keep all of those. So our freedoms, all of those things are at risk. If we don't come out and vote big and win big in 2018, we are on the edge, folks. We're on the edge. I, for one, I'm going to stand up and fight every second. I want you to join me. I'm going to be at Capitol Coffee today from 1 to 2:30. It's just a couple blocks away. Please come out. I'm doing a rifle raffle to support my campaign, AR-15 and a Henry Golden Boy 22. Okay? I'm doing that because I don't take lobbyist money of any kind, because I want to stay true to the people, true to the Constitution. I don't do lobbyists, okay? So thank you all for being here. Thank you for the opportunity. The Second Amendment, again, it's your God-given right to stand up and defend yourself. You remember that when you go to vote in the polls, all right? Thank you. Man, I really appreciate it. Yeah.
We're in the handwriting section, and I have trouble reading everything, so.
Right here, right now.
We got Adam Eckert, who has to go to work real quick, so he's going to jump the line for something quick.
I'm good.
I'm Adam Eckert, and I own guns. And we all know why we're here. It's not about the Second Amendment. It's not about guns. It's about all the amendments. If we lose one, we lose every damn one of them. Now, I'm really disappointed because I don't see kids. And we need, okay, I see it. I mean, I'm talking like young kids. If the left can mobilize their kids, we certainly can mobilize ours. Because the other speaker was right. We will lose if we don't get the message out to everybody. I've given up on the left. I know a lot of my friends from high school, they're left. I can't talk to them anymore. They don't want to listen. So we got to make all our voices heard. So vote, 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 and for God's sakes, don't give the left the chance to engage you violently, because that's what they want. And that's all I got to say. Have a nice day.
Yeah. Mike Nearman.
Yeah. Come on, Mike.
Hi, everybody. How are you doing today? So, I don't know if you know me. I'm State Representative Mike Nearman. I work here. And next time you guys are bad-mouthing politicians, I'd appreciate if you put the word most in front of the word politicians there. Occasionally, you get a good guy out there. So, let's see. I don't know if you know, I was one of the chief petitioners for the repeal Senate Bill 719 thing that didn't actually make it to the ballot, but so I was pushing on that. We got a couple other things in the pot. We're stirring the pot right now. We're getting ready to go on offense there. And before I forget, I want to say, so Leela is doing voter registration, I think, over here there. So if you need to register to vote, or if you need to change your party or something like that, or your address, you can do that over there. We don't really do voter registration in Oregon anymore. That's why we have a DMV, right? And then I think over there or somewhere is the Initiative Petition 22, which is to repeal Oregon sanctuary law. So I'm chief petitioner on that one too. So if I can digress a little bit. If you signed that last summer, or if you signed that at the state fair, the Secretary of State threw out your signature. So if you did that, we need to re-sign those. So that was brought to you by the public employee unions and a threatened lawsuit by them. So some signatures got thrown out. But this is a very important group here. This is a very important cause. We have got to do this. We have got to take this on. If they get that 43 and 44 on the ballot, we've got to fight that stuff. We've got to beat them at the box there, and it's going to take every one of us to do that, and quite a few more. So roll up your sleeves. And when you see stuff coming, we've got stuff coming down the pike there. When you see stuff coming, you need to get behind it. You need to support it. So we've got some other things coming up here. So. Thanks everybody for being here today on a cold April global warming morning, and And let's do it. Let's get her done.
I'm trying not to comment after everybody, but everybody's so motivating. Listen, if you're a politician and you want to run for something, great. I don't care what party you're on. For those people to stand up and to put everything on the line and put a D or an R next to their name, great. You know, we need to start looking at these people as people, which is, if you read the letter to the governor that I wrote, she's a person. So we need to respect the offices that they hold and respect the offices that they're running for and quit ripping the people apart. That's half the reason why some people don't want to run. So that's my 2 cents. Jeff Kropf.
Believe in freedom? Yeah! Do you believe in that flag? Yeah! Do you believe in your constitutional rights? Yeah! Then we've got to work together, and we've got to do something we haven't done in a long time. And you know what that is? Engage in 2 things to fix this battle. And we're in a battle for the soul of this nation, friends. And that battle is going to be solved, in my personal opinion, by 2 things: prayer and persuasion. Any of you ever been back to the U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C.? There's a place called Statuary Hall. And in that hall, and that's why I so appreciate the pastor came up and spoke. There is a statue of Pastor Muhlenberg, who is a pastor standing in the pulpit with the Bible in front of him, with a brace of pistols and a sword, because he was preaching individual liberty as a God-given right. Back then. If that was a Revolutionary War, that's our right. And if you believe, if you're a person of faith, you need to be praying for this nation and praying for our leaders, and even the ones that we don't agree with. And I tell this to my radio audience. You know, I don't agree with Kate Brown. I served 8 years in the House of Representatives, and I served with Kate Brown, and I don't agree with hardly anything she believes. But I will tell you this, it's still my duty as a person of faith to pray for her. So that's the first thing, pray for our nation. The second thing is the power of persuasion is incredible. Every one of you could sit down and write down 250 people that you know. Might take you a while, but you can write down 250 people that you know. Some of those people are persuadable to understanding the importance of individual liberty, of inalienable rights. I was blessed to spend some time on boots on the ground with the Oregon National Guard as a civilian embedded in Iraq and Afghanistan with combat infantry units. And I got to tell you something. I've seen the sacrifice that it takes for us to have that flag and display it, to live in freedom, for us to be here to talk today. I've seen it. I've experienced it. And many of you have too. We need to express the power of that, of liberty, to people. I've had people ask me why I carry a gun. And it's very simple to me. At the most basic level, I don't get in people's face and I don't debate them. I just simply say this. I have a human right, an individual right, to defend myself by any means. And I choose to use a gun as that means. It is my right before God to defend myself and innocent life and the people I love. That's our right, friends. And you know what? The liberal people that I've talked to, when I make that argument to them in a calm voice, they don't have a comeback. It is our right. It's our inalienable rights, and our founders know that. It just isn't life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, friends. It is our right to live our lives as we want, and you have the ability. So if we're going to fix this battle that we're in, if we're going to defeat, and it's not going to happen overnight, you know that. I have 2 grandsons, 5 and 7. I want them to live in a free nation. I want them to live with the same opportunities that every one of us have today. And I'm worried and I'm afraid that they won't. But this is nothing new in our country. Go back to what I just shared with you about Pastor Muhlenberg. You know, in the Revolutionary War, 20% of the American population was in favor of revolting against the crown. Only 20%. Half of the country didn't care, one way or the other. This is nothing new. We had a Revolutionary War. We had a Civil War. And we, who believed in liberty, believed in the rule of law, have prevailed. And we have to do it again, friends. And you have to do it individually with the people that you know. Be persuasive with them. Pray over this nation. Stand up. Every one of you has got to be involved in this process of electing people, of helping your friends and neighbors who are maybe on the fence on these issues, helping them understand the importance of individual liberty. Every precious liberty we have is in jeopardy today, friends. And we have to come together, and we can win this fight in America and right here in Oregon. Thank you all. May God bless each and every one of you.
Wally Schultz. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, he is tall. My name's Wally Schultz, and I'm from Florence, Oregon. Before I get started, I think everybody should just take a look around. Take a look around here. What do we see? What do we see around here? We see America. That's what we see around us right here. The depth of it, the breadth of it, it's what we see. We see America. Now, I spent 7 years, 11 months, 23 days in the Marine Corps, 2 combat tours overseas, 5 years with the 1st Force Reconnaissance Company. Thank you very much. One of the things that's happened in the last couple of years that has just blown my socks off, excuse me, is I've had strangers buy my lunch and my dinner. Never even talked to them. Just because I'm wearing one of my veterans caps or something. It's amazing. It wasn't that way when I came home. Now, there's something I think I want to touch on, is that the narrative the left has been using. It's a narrative we've got to pay attention to. Gun violence, assault weapon, just violence. Take the gun out of it. Assault weapon. Here's an assault weapon right here. Okay? I can crown you with this, but believe me, it'll hurt. You'll get some stitches. That's an assault weapon. I've had some liberal friends that I know. Let's put it, they're acquaintances. It's hard to be friends with them. They used to ask me, why do I carry a gun? I said, well, let me ask you a question first. Do you have a spare tire in your trunk? Yeah. Expecting a flat tire? No. But you got one. Why do you wear your seatbelt? You expecting a head-on collision? No. But you wear it anyhow. I'm carrying a gun because I might run across a bad guy sometime. And I want a spare tire and a seatbelt. It's that simple. I'm also past commander of the VFW post in Florence 3232. Judge advocate with the American Legion post there and with the DAV as well. So the thing is folks, we got to regain the narrative from them. Stop talking and saying gun violence. Stop talking assault weapon. Here's an assault weapon. If I punch your nose with it, you've been assaulted, okay? So get that narrative away from them. Stop calling your guns weapons. It's a pistol, it's a rifle, it's a shotgun, it's a revolver. Call them what they are. I'm also an NRA Chief Range Safety Officer and a training counselor in 5 disciplines, a former member of ASLIT, the American Society of Law Enforcement Trainers. Trained a lot of people. And the one thing we always emphasize is safety on the range, because I'm a certified practicing safety administrator by profession. There you go, folks. Take the narrative back.
Michael Scheidler.
Hi. I'm an Army veteran, former peace officer here in the state of Oregon. I have a little cautionary tale for you. This is from my family. My grandmother spent a good portion of my formative years raising me, and it wasn't until many years later I found out her history. She came to this country as a 10-year-old with a younger brother in tow. Her folks had died and her older brothers paid for her passage, and she came here, got employment, got a 5-story walk-up cold water flat and supported them till she started her own family. Her family that was in Europe disappeared. Her brothers were killed on their family farm in the town of Tarnopol in the Galicia province of what's now Poland. She lost everyone. Her brothers, her uncles, her aunts, her nieces, her nephews, her cousins, children and babies. Murdered on the farms or into the camps and out the chimneys. Adolf Hitler did this lawfully. He was elected to office. Our politicians are elected to office. They may do what they do lawfully. That does not make it right. This is a cautionary tale. This happened to my family. There are entire generations I never had an opportunity to meet. That was my grandmother's side. My grandfather's side suffered worse. Thank you for your time.
My chicken scratch says Ronnie Daniels.
Ronnie!
How you doing, Oregonians? All right, I'm out here. My name is Ronnie Daniels. Some people know me on the radio as the Black Redneck. Some people in the roping world know me as Huckleberry. But nevertheless, I'm just a good, cold-hearted American with a compassion from Hades. But nevertheless, we're out here to talk about the Second Amendment, right? Yeah. Okay. Remember in 1775, Lexington and Concord, we had Methodist ministers, Lutherans, and everybody else leading the charge against the British to take back their liberties, to make this country free. At the same time, the reason they had done that is because our Representative Adams and Franklin went to England. They had to be disarmed. They had a law there set up by the British Parliament. People, we got to vote. We got to remember this stuff, people. The history is not being taught to our children. We got to pass it down. In this situation today, we're at critical crossroads. And I would say, who's all from Southern Oregon? Give me a shout. Give me a shout from east of the Cascades. Come on now. What about the coastal folks? And what about the valley people? Come on. All right, now let's look at the results of last time we had an election. Number one, 32% east of the Cascades does not help things. 39% south doesn't help things. 46% along the coast don't help things, and 53% to 59% from which county end does not help things. If we want change, we want to keep our liberties of the Second Amendment, take away the perspective from those of the far left that wants to devour and slowly just cook us, put boiling frog in the water, maybe throw a little seasoning salt, or maybe throw some bouillon in there, just sort of make you feel comfortable. Well, keep going down the road. Just be apathetic. Don't get together. Don't talk to the people in your neighborhoods. I talk to everybody locally. I went through in the last election, I talked to over 2,700 people. I'm just a black redneck that just don't have no common sense because the Lord says I got to do what I got to do. But nevertheless, people, we have to, I don't care what color, I don't care what your background is, I don't care if you're libertarian, left, right, whatever the heck else. The art of persuasion is got to be involved, not by saying we got to do this. Each of us was endowed by a creator free will. And the consequences or rewards that goes with it. That's something they've been taught in Florida to that kid. No accountability. But overall, we have to stand up. We have to be not afraid and hiding in the cracks, worrying about this group or that group, this person. You also got to be able to, your families, you got to come together. I know this last election just torn everybody's north, south, east, and west apart. But we got to come together on the common sense of the agenda. This agenda is to keep and preserve our liberties, our Second Amendment rights that's been endowed by our Creator. We have to be able to do this. In order we got to win, east of the Cascades, we got to get 68% to 73%. Southern Oregon, we got to get at least 65 to 70%. In the Valley, we got to get at least 58 to 65%. And on the coast, we got to at least do 61 to 64%. And we can win it. And I'm going to tell y'all something. Stop worrying about Portland. Their voting numbers has been dropping since 2012. Stop. You got to realize this. We have the power. Our Creator give us that power. We have it in our Constitution for life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. If we lose the Second Amendment and be like Australia, where they've gone through, and they start picking away, automatics, then all of a sudden shotgun, then all of a sudden you got to belong to a certain club. So who's in those clubs? The George Soros members, the Bloombergs, you got to realize, people, these are rights. Just like the times after Solomon and David, Jeroboam says, hey, let's take the yokes off our neck and everything else. What happened? Until Asa came along 4 generations later. They was living in scenery. The ones that had small businesses was being forced out and extorted. Do you want to be like Venezuela, first world nation now in a third world crap hole? 6.5 million barrels, they're down to 1.5 million barrels. Who's the richest person? Hugo Chavez's daughter. You want to empower them for your security? Like our founding father said, if you trade security for your liberties, you shall have neither. And I want y'all to remember this. I don't give a rat about color because I got 37 godchildren in 17 states. They're anything from Filipino all the way down to Irish Cherokee. And I'm going to tell you, love thy neighbor as you love thyself, as the Lord say. He said, love those with all your heart. And not love the Lord with all your heart, not lead your own understanding. Proverbs 3:5. And at the last of it, please, talk to everybody. If I can talk to, and I'm just a grain of sand, a lot of times they play basketball at Croc Center or McMinnville or whatever the heck else, and I get gas, or I go in the grocery store, and they see me with this, they see this little black guy coming in with a hat, you know, sound like Puerto Rican redneck, you know. But nevertheless, guys, if I can go through and just mention the basic facts, always relates to dollars cost, especially with the extra taxes, our good governor, who's been funded by the enemy, the Nazi traitor of Hungary himself, Soros. When you got people like that, you need to point that out. This is history. If we don't do it, how are we going to make the change that we need in Oregon? I want to see Oregon red. I want to see it all red. But nevertheless, God bless you, and God bless Oregon.
I'm going to go back on the list and have David Samuel Hill come up, who wasn't going to be here until noontime, but he previously signed up. So, David.
Yeah. My name is David Samuel Hill, and I'm a U.S. Navy vet, and I want to say thank you to all the vets out there. You guys are incredible. And then to all the Americans that are standing before me right now that want freedom. You all need a hand too, because you guys are great. You're coming down here and you're ready to take a stand, make a difference. There's a couple of ways to take a stand, make a difference. I became an elected PCP in the party that I vote for. Not only did that, but the same year I moved up to vice chair in that county. Now I'm getting onto a finance board. I'm taking step by step by step, and I'm going to be moving up until I hit a level to where I'm going to be most effective in this political arena. We're no longer going to accept having our rights taken away from us. But I want to talk to you quickly about the Second Amendment today. It was written by incredible, intelligent individuals that helped to form a great nation. It simply reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That was a condensed and simplified version of what the Virginian Bill of Rights had. The Second Amendment has always been center stage for a ridiculous debate that was settled back in December 15th, 1791. Why are we having this debate today? We continue to get dragged into intelligent debates, but these intelligent debates are just a one-sided, abusive rant by anti-gun progressive leftists to just take away your rights. If you want to gain a better understanding of the Second Amendment, you could split it into a couple of different parts. Part A would be a well-regulated militia be necessary to the security of a free state. A militia is accurately described as a non-professional military comprised of citizens. Part B, the right of the people to keep and bear arms. First, we should discover what a right is. I read one definition that a right is a moral or legal entitlement. That doesn't fit. Rights are not entitlements. Entitlements are handed out. Rights are not. So as I studied farther into this, I discovered it was an unalienable right, a right that cannot be taken away. Your right to keep and bear arms is an unalienable right, and it cannot be taken away. To bear arms to bear, if you define that, arms, simply projects that we the people or ordinary citizens and legal residents can carry arms. The definition of arms is instruments or weapons of offense or defense, to include but is not limited to firearms, artillery, ammunitions, and the platforms that they are used on. Part C, shall not be infringed. To infringe is to restrict, impair, compromise, check, diminish, or weaken. And all of this should be very clear to its intent. Shall not be infringed. So you could take Part A, the militia part, and Part C, shall not be infringed, of the Constitution, put them together. And you can take Part A and Part A and Part C, put them together. Or you could take Part B, your right to keep and bear arms, and Part C, shall not be infringed, and put them together. And you can gain a clearer picture of what the Founding Fathers intended for you. The Founding Fathers of this nation intended for us to have militias and to have the right to bear arms. This is because they had fought a hard and long war against a repressive, abusive, and tyrannical government of England, where the rights of the people were subject to a king and his men and were often trampled on. So if the Founding Fathers were to know how this ridiculous request for an intelligent debate on gun control were to go, and people would be abused, gun control would be forced forward, they might have written the following into the Second Amendment: the unalienable right that cannot be sold, traded, given up, taken away from the people of the United States of America to possess, own, keep, and have, and or bear, and carry on persons arms, including but not limited to guns and munitions, shall not be infringed, restricted, comprised, and or taken away. Take back the narrative. You can do this. Get out and vote. You can do this. But when you go vote, don't accept just you voting. Drag your friends along with you. And then go celebrate when you're done handing in your ballot to the local clerk. It's going to take peer pressure to get this done. Get the vote out. You guys can do it. These are your rights. They are yours. You are Americans. And also another thing, the greatest thing that we have at risk right now is that individuals are going to lose more rights than just the Second Amendment rights if the Second Amendment goes away. God bless you guys. Thank you for coming out today.
Kaliko and Sarah. Thank you for stepping up.
Hello. My name is Sarah Gwendolyn Bell. I am a young woman. I am a college student, and I am a proud gun owner and supporter of the Second Amendment. There is a prevailing perception that we are all old, fat white men. No offense, anybody. It's simply not true. It's not true. We are more than a label. We are more than that. And we know what we need to do, and we're doing it here today. Thank you all for showing up in support for our God-given rights. And thank you for being here and supporting everybody today. I'm not a public speaker. In fact, I think I got a C in that class in college. But I feel very empowered by what you are doing here today. And I wish that when I had been assaulted, I had access to a firearm. I wish that someone had told me that that was something that I had a right for. And I know, and I will never let that be taken away from me or any of you. I refuse to be marginalized.
Sorry, I need a second. All right, back to the thing I planned to say. So I want to bring up demographics as well. I'm obviously a young man, also college educated. What? We good? Okay. Young man, also college educated. Where the hell was I going with this? Demographics, yes. Thank you. So, yeah, young man, college educated, didn't vote Trump, sure as shit didn't vote Clinton, not a member of the NRA because I think LaPierre is an a-hole. But nonetheless, I'm here, I own a whole bunch of guns, mostly odd collector items. And that's one of the things that I also want to talk about. I came up from Eugene, where, as you all know, it's a fairly democratic, fairly liberal, fairly progressive, whatever label you want to put on it. There's a lot of antis there. And it's something that I feel is great to bring up when you talk about IP43. Bring up, you know, I have a 1922 police pistol in .32. One of the weakest rounds, and many would say not acceptable for self-defense. But since it holds more than 10 rounds, that's an assault weapon. A freaking pocket pistol from 1922. That's not an assault weapon, guys. My competition rifle from back when I shot rimfire competition. Guess what? 22 LR barely shoots 100 yards, one of the weakest rounds in existence, but threaded barrel, detachable mag, thumbhole stock. Apparently that's an assault weapon. These are the things that I feel like it would be a great thing to educate people on. Be like, these are the the non-defensive recreational firearms that aren't really used in crimes. I think that, actually I don't remember that statistic. Never mind. But they're not a problem, but nonetheless, I would have to go down to Oregon State Police and register like a sex offender if I wanted to continue owning them if this passes, because, oh yeah, it's not that, no one makes 80% 1022 lowers. There won't be an easy way around it, and they were bought with a paper trail. Somewhere, there's a database that... But that is one of the great things to bring up to antis, to Democrats, to lefties, whatever the hell you want to call them, people who aren't on our side. Another thing to bring up is the people who actually are gun owners who you know. Right now, I've built my own ARs, I've built my girlfriend an AR. My mom, who's a retired Army vet with significant hand damage and impaired motion, shoots an AR because, oh yeah, that can be customized to suit her needs. That's what she's comfortable with at this point, since she can't really shoot pistols, and due to issues, I won't go into detail about them, she can't really shoot a shotgun. That leaves low recoil intermediate rifles, like ARs. Those are what she chooses to defend herself with. And right now, I'm actually waiting for parts, because a buddy of mine, a gay man, also from Eugene, was jumped last year and came up to me and was like, Lico, I need to defend myself. I went, okay, hit the rental range, hundreds of rounds downrange. He figured out what he liked. We made it happen. He goes, you know what? I really like shooting. I want something more. It's like, okay, well, I can build you an AR for $300. That sounds great. I'm building him an AR right now because, again, that is what he chooses to defend himself with. He works at a call center. If IP43 passes, he won't be able to secure time off to go down to Oregon State Police and register. A lot of my friends won't because, oh yeah, I'm young. A lot of us work in call centers. We're bartenders. I was a bartender for years. I was a short order cook. The sorts of jobs where if you're like, oh hey, I can't come in today, you're very likely to be told, yeah, well, we have a dozen other kids who will. You're fired. That is going to be one of the ways that IP43 would disproportionately affect people of color, the poor, basically anyone that's not rich and white. And that's without even bringing up the old, oh God, I believe it was New York, where they had a pistol permitting process where the sheriff was famous for going, oh, you're not white enough, you don't get a permit. My boss won't be able to close up his shop because he's a small business owner and go down and register. That's another great thing to bring up with antis, is the economic impact and that choice that realistically law-abiding Americans should not be asked to... sorry, I tend to cuss when I get passionate. I'm trying really hard. Law-abiding Americans should not be asked to make. Do you want to be a felon? Do you want to destroy or dispose of your own property, probably at a steep loss? Or do you want to be a felon? That's what we're fighting. Because the reality is, I would have to register half of my guns. Because, oh yeah, this is pretty ridiculous. My buddy would have to register all of his guns. My boss, I don't know, I haven't been shooting with him yet. But that is the reality. And that's something that I think will speak to liberals, to Democrats, to lefties. And that's also something that I want you guys to do. Everyone is saying hit Facebook, hit Instagram, hit Snapchat or WhatsApp or whatever the cool kids are using. Do that, but also talk to people. Talk to your friends. Talk to your gay friends. Talk to your black friends. Talk to everyone. Join liberal gun owners. Join Pink Pistols on Facebook as an ally. Because the reality is, we need all the allies we can get. And I don't really care if you agree with their policies on economics or border control or gay marriage or whatever. If they are an ally in this fight, we need them. We need to appeal to them. We need to show them that gun owners are young, they're educated, they're old, they're black, they're white, they're Asian, they're Hispanic. They're here legally, they're law-abiding, they're tax-paying, and they're all fighting for their rights. We're not all old, fat, white guys.
Hey, how's everybody doing out there? All right, all right.
Where's the magazine?
Where it's supposed to be.
Well, actually, I was told that it might be a better idea to have a magazine out and nothing in the chamber. So just in the interest of safety, I decided to do that. So anyway, I'm not a public speaker. I'm just an ordinary citizen. But like so many of you, I am really, really fearful of what is happening in our country and very fearful of what is happening in our state. And I wrote a little something. It's from my heart, and I hope you like it. My fellow Americans and citizens of the great state of Oregon, thank you for having the courage to be here. We are here today because that most fundamental of all liberties that we have enjoyed for nearly 2.5 centuries is being threatened as never before. Our right to keep and bear arms. As you well know, the Second Amendment to our beloved Constitution is the amendment that protects all others. As history will confirm, an armed populace is the only thing that stands between a free people and tyranny. One need look no farther than the Jews of Europe during the last century as a prime example of what can happen to a people once disarmed by their government. Thankfully, the founders of our great nation experienced tyranny, met the challenge head-on, and instituted safeguards against it. One of those great men, Alexander Hamilton, said, "The Constitution shall never be construed to prevent the people of the United States who are peaceable citizens from keeping their own arms." Today, however, there are generations who do not know nor revere the wisdom of our founders, and who seek to alter or abolish their sacred writings in order to bring forth a sort of utopia. Once again, a brief backward glance at the history of mankind has demonstrated that not only is their long sought-after dream impossible, it has proved to be quite deadly. The body count of communism, National Socialism, and fascism is proof enough. Primary to the implementation of these ill-fated forms of governance is the subjugation of the will of the people to the state. Today, we see emanating from many of our educational institutions and from our press, groupthink of the worst kind. The late, great Ronald Reagan perhaps said it best: "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction." The question we have to ask ourselves today is, will we allow our way of life to perish from the earth? Or will we stand and fight as never before to preserve it? In closing, the signers of the Declaration of Independence pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor when they signed that document. What I'm asking you here today is nothing so grave. What I'm asking you to do is to educate your friends, your family, your neighbors about the clear and present danger to one of our most cherished liberties. And that should the proposed legislation before us make it on the ballot in November, to show up and soundly defeat it. Thank you. May God bless you, and may God bless America.
Randy, what kind of accommodations do you need?
This is fine. I can stand up there like that.
Hi, everybody. I can't express how happy I was today when we pulled up and saw so many people here to support our rights. I'm going to tell you something that you probably are going to be a little baffled to hear, but I'm an extreme liberal socialist. Yes, I know, right? I want you guys to know that there are more like me out there. A lot of them are afraid to express their views because a lot of liberals like to call people who support the Second Amendment that we like our children to be murdered or something. But I want you to know that there are more out there like us, and I want you guys to remember that when you talk to people that you don't normally agree with or you don't normally socialize with, because there are a lot of us out there that are just looking for a little support so that we can stand up. I believe in the Second Amendment, and I believe without the Second Amendment we wouldn't have the rest of our rights. That being said, I want to thank everybody once again for coming, and I wanted to tell everyone that in Yamhill County in McMinnville, we're having another gun rally, sorry. I'm not very good at this. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. If you want more information, I have flyers. I think this is one of the most important issues of our time, and I think that if we get that across enough, that they'll join us and they'll help fight with us, because without the Second Amendment, we won't have the rest of them. Thank you.
All right, we had a gentleman that was going for a smoke break. Joshua, there, he's back. Good.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Can everybody hear me? Glad to see everybody's faces for a second there. I thought I was all alone in this state. Let me tell you a little bit about myself, just for a quick second. My name is Joshua Jesse. I work for a concrete company, Salem Concrete Paving, right here in Salem. I help pave those capital steps. I got a beautiful wife and 2 daughters. I've lived in this state nearly my whole entire life. I've watched a lot of things change. Just last week, I read an article that California was proud that they had 1,100,000 undocumented citizens issued licenses, and they're able to vote. This population has the state of Oregon has just over 4 million. That's 25%. God forbid they bust them up here and cast a vote, because all this talk and speech about casting a vote won't mean much with 25% of an outside influence. What we need to do is demand that our lawmakers audit the DMV, and that what's done is that they're held accountable for every single vote that's cast, that it's a legitimate vote, because each vote that's cast that's not legitimate is drowning out a vote that is, and that's the truth. And if that's not what they want to do, then they need to get Oregon their own separate electoral college, where each county that's not here today, that couldn't make it today because they're 5 hours away, their voice still counts, because I guarantee you the Willamette Valley and Portlandia does not speak for the rest of the state, and that's what's going to end up happening. If we don't band together, and even if this initiative, this IP 43 does pass, don't go down and register your firearms.
I'd like to just request that our friends from the March from Science are walking down the street. Hey, I like volcanoes with baking soda and vinegar too, so I want to give them some respect. If we are a veteran, it'd be nice to go over there and wave and form a little bit of a line. We do have security under control, but let's let them walk by. This was pre-planned by them. And when you go to buy a hot dog and a food cart, guess what? They organize that, so.
Out there marching for science, we've all been through high school. Can we do like hip hip hooray? Anyone who learned anything in high school science? Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Thank you to my science teachers.
Thank you. I had a great science teacher. I wasn't really too much for the volcano on the table, but we'll just pause for a moment. So, I just want to say, when GGWG was founded, and I had some guys step up to the plate, and gals, help me, I knew that this voice was going to be here. I'm very, very proud of every speaker that's taken this podium. We're speaking it, people. I'm very proud of everyone. So, I'm not going to tear up now. I can't do that. But if I could, I would. Very proud of everybody here and the demeanor that we are setting for future events as well.
How many of you folks are aware that the two female soldiers that were awarded the Silver Star for valor in combat? How many knew that? A few. Well, here's the point. Valor knows no gender.
Publicly, thank you for allowing me to interrupt you while we address whatever's going on out there. I think we're good to go. Please take the mic back.
So I just want to thank everybody who organized this event. I don't know who did it, nor how it happened. I'm just glad that it did and everybody showed out. I just want to let you guys know there's a lot of international conflicts going on with what's happening in Syria and what's happening with Russia and North Korea. And I don't know the future. I don't know what's going to happen. But let's say something does happen, and all you able-bodied men are called away, and this initiative's passed. What is your family left with to defend themselves when you're gone? Let's say you go on a hunting trip, and this initiative passed. Some people, they grew up around firearms their whole entire life. It's what they know, and they know them as to be a tool to protect other people. Now, people that aren't around that, they don't know that. And they outnumber us at the polls. They do. So I just urge everybody to get out and vote. And if we don't win the vote on this petition and it gets on the ballot and we lose that too, I urge you not to register your firearms. You don't have to. It's a God-given right. No one has to tell you what to do with your firearms because it's an infringement. And I don't care what anybody says. So I just encourage you not to register your firearms. You don't have to.
Next up is Beth to our left, holding her signs.
Bethany Matlock.
I'd like to start off and say that I may be young and I may not be able to vote for everything, but I believe that guns are a great source of self-defense. And if we don't have that, making, like it says on my sign, making good people helpless won't make bad people harmless. This, taking guns away, will not help this. Like someone else had said before, criminals don't care about laws. They're killing people. That's against the law. You don't see them stopping because, there's a law. You're not going to walk up to someone and say, oh, sorry, you can't do that. This is a no-gun zone. You can't have that. You're not going to walk up to a criminal and say that. And to add, there are people at my school that they believe that that guns should be taken away. I was talking with my friend last night, and he said, we're not trying to take away guns from you, but that's not what we're trying to do. But I said, that's what you are doing. We are the majority. We are the people who don't, we aren't criminals. They're taking guns away, yes, from us, not from criminals, because they won't give their guns up. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Casey, I'm going to give the last name a try. That's you, right?
How's everybody doing? My name's Casey Runyon. I have also organized rallies here in Salem before. I've organized 3 rallies in the past 4 years. I see more people here today than I have in the last 2 of my rallies that I organized. Thank you for coming. I wanted to make a couple of points. I like how we're talking about the Second Amendment. I like how we're focusing on the inherent right and the codified right to keep and bear arms. But here in Oregon, we have our version of the Second Amendment. It's called Article 1, Section 27. The right of the people shall have the right to keep and bear arms for the defense of themselves and the state, but the military shall be kept in strict subordination to the civil power. That article in the Oregon State Constitution, in my opinion, is more powerful than the Second Amendment ever will be or ever has been. That verifies the inherent and codified right to keep and bear arms. Arms! Doesn't matter what the weapon, what the rifle looks like. Arms is armament. About 2,500 years ago, I'm ballparking it, it was in 480 BC, there was a little confrontation in Greece. It was called the Battle of Thermopylae. And King Leonidas led his 300 men against the Persian army, and they told him, lay down your arms. And I want everybody to know how to say this. He said to them, Malone Lafe. Everybody say it with me. This is how you say it properly. Malone Lafe. Malone Lafe. Malone Lafe. Malone Lafe. Whenever you see that on the memorial in Thermopylae, Greece, if you look it up, that's the proper way to say it. Some people ask me, why do I carry a gun? I've been asked this before. I'll be out with my family, walking around with my kids. Why do you carry a gun? I don't carry a gun to impose my will on anybody else. I carry a gun so others cannot impose their will on me. Thank you very much.
My list, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our booth. We will not be taking any media inquiries at this time. There is only one person in the media realm who we all trust right now. Unless that person contacts us, we are doing everything by official statement only. Lastly, preference to all questions is guaranteed to our group membership. If you are not a membership, seek out leadership and they will address any questions. We will not be endorsing any politicians. We may provide opportunities for them to speak on the Second Amendment only. We will be posting live video, and I want to thank everybody that has been able to do that, as well as prepared live videos with the following social media hashtags: #GGWG, #GGWG, we hear you, #my voice is heard by GGWG, #join GGWG, #get off the couch, I'm with GGWG, United we stand GGWG. If you don't know what a hashtag is, I barely know, so. I kind of wanted to bring this to a close. I thank everybody for coming out here today. We did a good job today. I think our voices have been heard. I invite you all to shake some hands around here. But as an official statement, GGWG is going to go over to this table, shake hands, meet your neighbors. Thank you.